Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the We're So Young podcast. This episode means so much to me because it is the final episode of our first year doing the We're So Young podcast. So I am so excited. I'm especially stoked because I have one of my homies from high school. We've been literally supporting each other from high school. Facebook memory came up literally when was it, like 3 days ago, of us being like, I support you. Yeah. 10 years ago. We're so young. I have Fray Gomez. He is a musician. He is a father. He is a supporter. He's so many things. I'm just like so excited.
Thank you.
Who are you, Fray?
Well, I'm Fray Gomez. I go professionally as FrayFBE. I'm a singer and songwriter from Colombia, from the beautiful nation of Colombia. And, for the last 11 years, 12 years of my life, I've been making music. And most recently, about 3 years ago, I started actually composing professionally and started making music for different artists and, for myself too, but mainly also composing for different artists. So that's what I do,
I just want to explain the location. So we are in our hometown, Hialeah. And we are in like this really cozy, comfortable studio.
Yep.
We never get to record in studios, guys, and here we are in a studio.
Yes, this is your home.
Thank you. This is Fray's studio. It's very Miami, neon lights,
Miami
all
Vice
of the
colors.
equipment. Yeah, everything you would need, and it makes me, honestly, man, it makes me so proud.
Appreciate it.
Just like seeing how far, far it's been. So let's go back from the start. So where were you born? Where did you grow up? Even though I said that already, but
Well, I was born in Medellin, Colombia, and what I consider the most beautiful place in this world. And Paisa. And I came here when I was really little. Like, I came here when I was 7. And I lived here in Miami, here in Hialeah, and grew up here. But I've had the chance to go back, live in Colombia. My daughter was born out there. I spent about 5 years out there. So I've considered myself from both parts. I'm a pretty equal mix. I speak both languages to perfection, and at the end of the day, like I can't really choose one side of me because I feel like they both make up Fray. So
yeah, for sure.
Both very important.
I forgot that you moved back after high school.
Yeah,
man, that's nuts.
I went up to Cali for like a year.
Okay.
And to Tallahassee. I went to school up there. And I started making music in Spanish. That's where I made my first Spanish song, in Tallahassee. So then one of my cousins was like, hey, you should come to Colombia. You never come here as an adult by yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'm about it. I went out there and rest is history.
Yeah, man. I
loved it.
Last time I went to Colombia by myself as an adult, that was dangerous.
But where's your family from? From what part?
Well, my family's from Cali.
Cali, okay.
But
okay.
And the last time I've been to Cali, was I was like 18 or something. It was like right before we graduated high school.
Okay.
But I was on tour a couple years ago, and I went to Cartagena.
Oh, Cartagena is the next
exactly. Cartagena.
That's our Miami.
Oh my God, exactly.
That's our Miami.
Yeah. It was amazing. And
Cali's beautiful. I haven't got the chance to go to Cali a lot because the music scene over there is not that developed.
No, it's in Medellin.
Yeah, it's in Medellin and Bogota.
It's
not that developed right now in Cali, which is a shame because I know a lot of good artists out there.
Yeah.
It's just like a lack of unity out there. Like everybody's kind of like doing their own thing, and that's not how you make it,
Right. Right. So let's go back just a little bit. FBE.
Or beyond. Yes, ma'am.
That started in high school.
That started when we were 14.
Yeah. I've known you since middle school, actually. Yeah.
We used to have like AP something together.
AP whatever.
What was my only AP class ever?
I don't remember. It's funny, it's funny thinking about it, thinking about
crazy.
Like how crazy it's been. This is the first time I see Fray in 10 years.
Yeah.
We've always stayed in
Wow.
touch. Yeah.
10 years. That's
Well,
crazy.
no, but, well, we graduated in 2011, so
Yeah.
it's it's not 2020 yet. So
We're close.
So we're close. We're
9
close.
years.
Yes,
That's
but
crazy.
but yeah, it's the first time in over 5 years that we see each other.
Yeah.
We've always kept
stayed
in touch.
even when I was in Colombia.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy to think about it because I was around for that birth of
Yeah.
FBE, and it was like a
Same thing with you. Same thing with you. Like I'm a real big supporter of like people that really chase their dreams and like really like risk it all for it. And it's just because like there's so much more easier things to do
yeah.
and so many easier ways to get your bread. But some of us are in love with something, and it's something that like it's hard, especially what we're talking about at our age. Like we're not old, but
the clock is ticking.
it's ticking.
But that's the whole point of this
It's
podcast.
ticking,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Is to really just remind ourselves
That we're still young.
That
yeah.
we're still young. We're so young, and like
But the industries that we're in make us feel old.
exactly.
See, that's the reason why we feel like that. And I'm glad that you did this podcast because that's one thing that really, really fucks with me.
And I think
like,
specifically with artists.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's just like there seems to be like a ticking time bomb for us.
and you know what's the beautiful thing? Like I've met a lot of artists. Like recently, maybe like 3 weeks ago, an artist from Colombia came. His name is Pipe Calderon. And it's my first time meeting him, but he's really good friends with my producer and stuff. So I saw that he was coming to Miami. So I messaged my producer. I told him, link me up with him. I want to work with him. Whatever. We linked up, and I went to the set of his music video. They needed some help, so I'm always about helping everybody. So I'm like, all right, I was holding shit up. I was like, let's do it. Let's help this guy. So he felt really grateful about it. So we went out to eat after. We talked a lot. And he's 36, I believe. He had his major breakout maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. And he popped off. I mean, I was living in Colombia, I think, when he popped off. And he had great songs on the charts, super big. He's done The Voice in Colombia. He's done like a bunch of big, cool shows. But like we started talking, got into the age thing, and I was like, yo, like I'm about to be 27, this and that. And he was like, that's not a problem, bro. I'm 36. I still feel like I got a lot to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not about the age. It's about when is your time. You get me? Balvin actually got famous at like 30.
Yeah.
So
he's great.
And he's
Balvin,
broken records.
I
think he's like top 4 artists in the world on Spotify.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he's Latin.
I know.
That's never been seen before.
Thank goodness.
Thank
goodness. That's another thing is that like you think about it, and specifically for people like us who've been in this industry, in the artistic industry, because you're in the music industry, I'm in the acting industry, and though they blend a lot.
They definitely blend. Some similar companies, the companies that make the movies or the companies that make the music.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
But something that's really interesting is that like even though we've been doing it for such a long time, right now we're in such a cool place in not only in our lives but in the world that like Latinos, the Latinx community is popping off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that it's interesting
like never before.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how we are,
I feel like we've been preparing for this
right
moment,
place, right time kind of thing.
Like also like I've seen you grind with this acting shit forever. Like from the school, like thespians and shit. You're always there. Always doing the shows. And like sometimes maybe in this industry and like the industries we're in, like you might get like demotivated or something, like people that have passed you, or maybe like success stories that are like maybe one and a few that pop off very quick, and it kind of like brings you down. But sometimes everything's about timing and like the space that you're the space that's created for you. So like right now I feel like there's a space that's being created for us, and the last 15 years of us working hard have been kind of like training. Like Dwayne 100%. Wade when he got into the league, he had to play 4 years of college basketball in Marquette, and he had to play high school basketball and middle school basketball, and then he had to play like 3 more years until he got a chance to the playoffs to really make an impact with Shaq. And you know, it was like I always make that comparison, you know, to basketball, because you know, it's basketball and sports and stuff like that, and what we do. There's a lot of stuff that you gotta do to get to the point where you're at. Now the space opens. Now you gotta execute.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So right now, you know, Latinos are at the top of the top, and I also noticed that more Latinos are getting lead roles in movies.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's like
that maybe 10 years ago you wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's true.
Latinos getting a full lead role in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like the main character now.
Yeah.
And also I see like in these cartoons like now like Coco came out.
I know.
And like.
And there's like Elena of Avalor, and like
exactly.
there's like, and you know, and not just Latinos.
We only had Dora
minorities.
before. That's it.
Oh my god! Thank goodness we've gotten past the Dora. Jesus.
Nah, but it's
Yeah.
it's getting pretty crazy. And my producer, he always tells me like, I have kind of I'm torn between both sides because I really love English music. However, I haven't made it in a lot of years, so sometimes like I'll make one song in English, and like I'll send it to my producer, and I'll be like, hey, what do you think of this? And he always says, hey, remember, they love us right now. Don't steer away from that.
Yeah.
Like
keep the
do
focus,
whatever you
want to
do once you make it. They love us right now.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking for us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm very happy that the Latin industry. That's why like, although like I've gotten to see this up close, and I see that like, you know, and some people think about it the wrong way. You know, a lot of these artists like Balvin or Maluma, the ones that are at the top, Nicki, they have writers, and they have and people see that wrong, but I also see it kind of like as a script. Like when a movie's made, you know, I don't know, Steven Spielberg, he's not the only one that makes the movie.
Directing it, yeah,
you know,
there's
he's
so
directing
many
it,
parts
and then
to it.
there's the writers that like, how many writers are in a movie? Like a whole bunch, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like a crew of writers.
It is, and I think that that's something that people that are outside of our industries don't understand, that
Exactly.
it takes a fucking village. It takes
does.
a fucking village.
It does.
To take out one song, to compose a song. Like just
Yeah.
even like it blows my mind that you're composing, because there's not only does it take a village with a bunch of people, but just in itself, the layering and the time commitment and the sweat that you have to put in, like it's just there. It's not all fun and games. I think that's something I've been very lucky for the most part growing up and having a really supportive family. But sometimes they still, you know, people don't get it. People just think that like, oh look, she's in a movie, she's having fun. No, bro. My call time was 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and I finished the night before at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I have to, you know, like I get news.
And you have to juggle a bunch of different things.
Yeah, you know, and you have to figure it out. And it's the same with you. Like
Exactly.
you have a daughter, you have a job, you have, you know, like it takes so much love and commitment. You know what I mean? It's like we're married to what we do.
Exactly. And people also assume that like it's automatic success. You know, a lot of people hit me up, and I'm really about like I like it's cost me a lot to make my relationships, and it's been a very painful process, and fun at the same time. But it's been so hard for me to make connections that now that I've been able to develop them, like I'm more like pretty cool about them. Like I'm just like, you know, if I can connect somebody, I can connect them, because I feel like maybe we need a little bit more of that in the industry.
Paying it forward, man.
Paying it forward.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, although it's been hard, some of the people that I've been able to meet have been people that have been like, hey, meet this guy. You know, this guy's pretty good. But, you know, going back to the writing thing, like, you know, a lot of these guys like that are popping right now, you know, people see, you know, what they are and what they become, and maybe they don't understand how they got there. But I'm really glad that, you know, they're putting that out there, and that the artists that are on right now, like Balvin, Maluma, Nicki, Daddy, all these guys, they really do acknowledge the writers and acknowledge like the whole process. Because I just took out a song today, and in that song, I see about 9 people participated in that song.
That's
you know,
that's amazing.
So it's, you know, how can I ever take credit for everything?
Yeah.
You know, it's
You gotta be humble.
yeah.
It takes a team. It's a
It,
team.
it does.
You know what I mean? And
It does. Same thing with an actress.
it's
I
true.
mean, like
It's true.
I
We
can
call
imagine that
an
you guys
we're
have
an
like
ensemble. Yeah, we're a team. Yeah.
a whole team.
That's when I teach acting. That's the first thing I say. I'm like, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about the art of it.
Exactly. And the
creating
movie, like, it's not about just the main
Yeah.
actor. It's about making the whole
Right.
thing.
Right.
So I love that. I love that about acting. That it's so tight. And that's maybe why like artists like Ice Cube and 50 have been able to transition so easily into it. Because it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Pac also did a lot of movies. And
That's
stuff.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's pretty cool.
So where did FBE
Come from?
come from?
Okay. Well,
I think I remember, but let's tell the listeners.
yeah. Well, me and Jay, like, we were always friends, but we never like really like hung out like we got to. And in ninth grade, we had a class.
Jay is your collaborative.
Yeah, he's my business partner.
Yeah.
He's partial owner of the studio.
Yeah.
He's partial owner of the studio. He's my right hand man. We've done everything together from when we were 14. And then we got a class together, which we never had in high school, which was Miss Gonzalez. I don't know if you remember Miss Gonzalez, but she was like that young teacher that I forgot what she taught. Like it was like
she's an English teacher, no?
I don't know. It was like one of those random like
Wait,
classes.
she was hot?
Yeah, she was hot.
Okay, I never had like
she
a...
still is. So we had like a big crew in there, like of all our friends, so we were always together, and we were always like messing around, like freestyling.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I told Jay, I was like, yo, we should make music. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I had a little laptop. It was just crazy. Like I had a little laptop with a little laptop mic on it, and we recorded like the first 3 songs on that laptop mic. And we were like, oh shit, we're actually like pretty good. So then I got my uncle, which was the person I was just talking to when you came in. I do a lot of business with him too. He has a couple artists that he has signed under him and stuff like that. And at that time, like he always loved music, but he never knew how to get into it. And he was like, you did this? All right, I'm gonna buy you a mic. And he bought me my first mic.
Aww.
So when we started recording, and then we're like, what are we gonna name ourselves? Which is pretty funny. Like we were like, all right, we're just gonna be the Fresh Boys. And then they were like, all right, we're the Fresh Boys, and that's where B come from. So we were like the Fresh Boys Entertainment. That's what it originally meant, and we were like, all right, fuck it. So then like we made like music from freshman year, sophomore year, and then junior year, we made like a pretty good mixtape. And it's still out there somewhere.
You gave it to me.
Yeah.
I think I might have
I give it to everybody.
I think I might have it. Oh my god, if I have it, I'm going to take it. I'm pretty sure I do. Because I moved last September. So,
yeah.
Oh my god, I'm going to take it.
It's crazy. It's still up somewhere. Like, I know somebody that knows where it's at. It's in SoundCloud, I think, somewhere. And we made that mixtape. It was pretty good. So we got connected with Po' Boy, which is like a label here in Miami, like a local label. They're the ones that started Rick Ross and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So
junior year?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
junior
that.
year. And so junior and senior year, we were working with them, and we would always go to their studio. It's right here in Hialeah. Actually, the way we got in there, I knocked on the door. I've always been really like that. Like I've always been like, hey, I'm just gonna go, and let them tell me no,
Yeah.
So I knocked on the door, and they came out, and they were like, what do you want? I'm like,
what do you want, child?
I'm a rapper. And they're like, rap. So I started rapping. And then like we worked with them for a little minute. Like it was never like on some like signing shit, but we were just like really close to them. We would always be there. We did do a couple auditions for them. It didn't really work out. But in that process, we needed to change the name. Like we needed people to take us serious. But however, like we already kind of like were living with FBE. We had already tattooed it on ourselves. Like we were like we're FBE. That's what we are. So in like one time we were just together and we came up with that Far Beyond Expectations, and it kind of fit with everything that we believed in. Like we were always like people that people counted out.
Yeah.
It was always like, nah, they can't do it. Like nah, like you don't got it. So and like we always like, yeah, we're far beyond what everybody expects of us. Everybody expected us to just end up being, I don't know, drug dealers or some shit, and just like not doing you know. And that's where you know where FBE came from. But it's a pretty funny story because it started with like kind of like just a joke, you know, Fresh Boys.
Yeah, no, that's why I laughed. Like I was like, oh my god, I was there.
Yeah, bro, it was bad. It was bad, and we were pretty bad, but.
I mean,
but you gotta start
our whole class was like bad.
Yeah.
We were all bad.
But yeah, we had a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent in our school. Like a lot of people that are doing their thing. Like Steven Medina, he's doing his thing. Super cool dude.
Yeah, I love him.
I love his vibes. I love how supportive he's just like you, yo.
Yeah.
That's what I love about y'all.
He's
like
a hustler, man.
And you need that type of shit, you know.
Yeah.
You need that type of support because this industry is not easy.
No.
This shit's not easy.
No.
But there's a lot of people doing their thing, you know. Like you as well. Like I always knew you were gonna keep doing your thing.
People killing it. So junior year, this happened. You guys are with this label. What? And then you go to Colombia. You go to Colombia for vacation.
Yeah.
And then ¿qué te pasó? Too much aguardiente. And you were like, ya.
Maybe a little bit of that too. Maybe a little bit of that too. Nah, I mean, I actually went through a pretty crazy story out there. Like I went through a pretty rough time out there. There was a time in my life where like I was having like problems with pills and stuff like that. You know, that's why like I feel really associated with the things that are happening in the industry right now, which is a shame of like all these young talented artists dying from prescription drugs, which is crazy because it's something that like it's so hard to control because it's legal. So it's very sad, and I see it personally because I've been there, and
that
like
was part of us growing up.
Yeah, like, I really like lived it tough. Then I moved to Colombia where it's like on every corner.
Yeah.
So I went through a tough time out there, and you know I was working, and you know my dad gave me an apartment, and I was living out there like chilling. I was working at a call center, but then like you know being so lost in drugs and stuff like that, like the only thing that would kind of like pull me out of it would be music, you know. And you know I've never been really the type of person that like to make music fucked up, you know. A lot of people like to get fucked up, but like every time I would do that, like it would come out terrible, or I'll fall asleep, or like some shit. So like I'll always be sober, and that's what really pulled me out of it. And then a lot of people started noticing me, you know. A lot of people were like, hey, he's pretty good, he speaks English. So that's really like what set me apart from everybody there. Like I can't come here and tell you that that's not the factor. Like that's definitely the factor. The factor that separated me from everybody was the fact that I was from Miami, and that I was different, you know. Like I had a different swag, I had a different way of talking, you know. I had a little accent in Spanish, so they were like, hey, it's pretty cool, you know. It's different, you know. So I started making a lot of music out there. But what's crazy about it is that I lived in Colombia from 2012 to 2016. And it was like 4 years. And I made a lot of music out there, but I had like a little setup, you know, nothing like this. I just had like something in the closet and stuff. And people would pay attention to me, and I met a couple people, but it was never something serious. It was to the moment where I moved back, you know. Like I had already gotten over all the drug shit. I actually did like 4 months of rehab in Colombia, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna let this go.
And you had your daughter there.
Yeah, which was even worse.
That was a crazy transition for you too. Bad. I remember. It
was bad because like, you know, I was really young father in another country. I was kind of like lost.
Yeah, how old were you when she was born?
21.
Yeah.
21. So, you know, I you know, you never really prepare for those things, but I was just like in such a bad mind space that like I'm so glad that like I have like great friends and like my family and shit that like helped me pull me out, you know, force me to do better. And then my dad went to Colombia, and like he was like, yo, this is not where you belong, bro. Come back to Miami. And I was like, all right. So I came back, which was like the best thing that could ever happen to me, because that's when I linked up again with Jay. And then I linked up again with Jay. You know, we never lost contact. Always talk every day. But we started making music again. And then I was like, yo, I just came from Colombia. All I wanted to do was speak Spanish. So I was like, I'm going to make my music in Spanish, bro. He was like, all right. So I started making music in Spanish. And
I
it
love how
wasn't until I
supportive
left
he
the
is.
country that I got noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't until like I came out here and I started recording in like better settings and like making actual music videos and like just doing it a little bit more professionally that I got the attention of Tezel, which is like the executive producer of Universal.
Yeah.
So and that's when everything really started. But it was thanks to like my time in Colombia. That's why I was telling you earlier on about the time. You know, timing is beautiful.
It's everything.
You know, everything just falls into place. Like if I would have never left to Colombia, been through all those situations, I would have never stayed that long. I never would have learned the Spanish that I know, you know.
Yeah.
And I never would have just made Spanish music. You know, who knows what would have happened to me. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you're talking about Jay, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard him talk in Spanish. I would talk to you in Spanish.
You know what's crazy? He never. He has the worst. He used to have the worst Spanish. I'll rephrase that. But in the last 3 years, he even has a song in Spanish. I'll show you later.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like
because you and I, because we're Colombian, we would be like,
we would always
parce,
speak in Spanish and shit. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember.
Jay's Spanish is terrible, and like now it's gotten better. And since he's the engineer, like he has to talk a lot when somebody's in the booth, like recording.
Yeah.
Direct them. I mean, I'm always there plugged in with the headphones, like trying to help him and stuff. But like he's grown a lot, and all the connections that we've been able to make has been with the Latin industry.
Yeah.
So, you know he's my brother. So if he's not there, I'm not there.
Right.
So
and
like
I love that about you guys, because you guys have always been that type.
Yeah.
You guys have always been that.
That's
type.
how it's been. Like from the moment I started meeting people and I got into the industry, like I told him like, yo, this is my dude. You know, he's FBE. He's the other half of FBE. So like we gotta do something for him.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
And that's that's what it. And at the end of the day, without Jay, I wouldn't be where I'm at. You know.
Yeah.
Because when I came back, I didn't have a studio. I didn't have nowhere to record. I would actually like they make jokes about it all the time. Cause like I'm super serious when it comes down to this shit. So like when we're in here in the booth, like and they're fucking around or something, I'm like, all right, it's funny, you know, we laughed, let's get to work, you know, like let's do our thing, you know, we gotta do our thing. And everybody's always like, you know, it's funny, like Fray used to be the one to go to the crib, you know, like I used to get to the studio and I used to be like, all right, I'm out, I'm bored, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But you know, if it wasn't for Jay would always be like, stay, bro, do this, that. So if it wasn't for Jay and for his girlfriend Mish, like honestly, like I don't know if I would have kept making music.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm all I like that the same way with them too, because like if I see them, you know, missing opportunities or wasting their potential, like I gotta step in there and be like, yo,
right,
that doesn't work like that. That doesn't work like that.
And so, tell me about your music. Like, what do you first of all, do you consider yourself a rapper, a singer? I mean, that's such a hard thing to say. You're a musician, you know what I mean? You are a musician.
Well,
above all. Mm-hmm. But what, like,
I mean, I do consider myself a rapper, because that's like my roots. My roots are rap, and I really do feel like that's where you know I make my bread and butter. Like that's what separates like me from the pack, the fact that I rap in English and Spanish combined. But in the last 3 years, you know, I got introduced to composing. I never even thought about that. Like it never crossed my mind to be like, hey, you can write music for other artists and like make connections and make money and like be able to have your own studio. And like I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, I didn't know that. When I went to Colombia and I met Tezel, you know, and I met Tesla, the crew, you know, they're the ones that make the music for Maluma. They made all of his album. They're the ones that make the music for Balvin. They make music for Karol G, for everybody in Colombia. You know, they're the top creative group in Colombia. And, you know, when I met them and I saw what they did, and we went to a farm in the middle of nowhere and made music for 5 days straight, and I was just like, whoa, like this is what I want to do, you know? This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, and like, I started getting more into singing. And like, I just dropped my first song singing. Like, I was very, very nervous about dropping the song because I've always dropped rap. Always. But you know, they were like, "Yo, it's time for you to start dropping this shit," because like, you know.
That's the song that you
I
put.
just,
Yeah, because
yeah.
that's why I'm saying it. Because I was just like, I'd never heard you.
Yeah,
sing.
nobody's
Yeah.
ever heard me sing like that. So now it's like, now I'm gonna start releasing a little bit more commercial stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I still will always go back to rap. So like my next song is still on that singing vibe, but it has a lot of rap in it too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find like the balance in between.
Yeah, that's the thing, is finding that balance.
But I'll write anything.
Yeah.
Like we did a camp where we wrote a bachata. Like
Nice.
we did one that's like kind of like a vallenato reggaeton type vibe. So I'll write anything. You told me to write a Christmas song, I'll write a Christmas song. Like I'll get in any vibe, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, you know, I feel like whether it's rap, singing, producing, anything that has to do with it, you know, you're always just gonna be an artist. You know, it's
And
art. It's art.
What do you write for you? Like what do you talk about in your songs?
Well, in my songs, like I'm more of a like feel good vibe. I used to be on a very violent tip. I don't know why. I guess rappers fall into that tendency
Yeah.
to like talk about guns and drugs. And maybe like about 3 years ago when I started working with Tesla, I saw these rappers dying and like all this stuff, like just and what they talked about. And I believe strongly in the law of attraction. So I'm just like, yo, these guys are manifesting their own death, you know? They're manifesting their own problems.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like look at what they're talking about. So I changed my vibe completely. And I was just like, I will never ever post anything negative again on Instagram. I will never ever talk about shit like this or like some gangster shit, because at the end of the day, I'm not gangster, you know? Like I'm not trying to be gangster, you know?
Right.
I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to be the toughest guy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to live
Put
good,
out
you
music
know,
and
and make music.
And also, you're a dad.
Yeah, and I
You know,
have to
you
set an
want-
example.
Exactly. You
Have to set
want
an
you
example.
want you want to set an example.
Now,
And you want.
there's a difference. You feel me? Now, depending on the vibe of the song, or if like the song's on some like, cause I really like artistic shit. Like maybe like on some like artistic videos, and like that's why we were talking about the acting stuff. It really fascinates me because like I feel like it really goes hand in hand with music, because musicians have to act all the time.
Oh yeah.
And you know, whenever I'm doing something or an event or something, like I'm a different person, you know, like I go into being FrayFBE, you
Right.
know, and then, like it's just like there's videos and certain vibes of songs that you do that maybe you'll have to like portray something like that, like maybe something more violent or something, but it has to be in a more artistic way. It
Yeah.
can't just be like, hey, like don't come to my block, you know, like
Yeah,
types
yeah,
of,
yeah.
I don't like
There
that.
has
Like I
to
think that's
be-
whack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's something similar with, you know, like if I go to an audition for like something and they're like, you have to be naked, and I'm like, okay, well, what is this? What do I have to be naked
Yeah,
for? Just
yeah,
to
exactly.
like, you know, show my boobs for Owen Wilson, or like because I'm doing Titanic? Like they
Yeah,
would
it's
say,
something
you know
like
what I mean?
super
Like,
artistic.
It has
yeah.
to. It has to mean something.
That's the
has to
perfect
be-
example.
Yeah.
To be
like,
honest with you,
it has to mean something.
like I don't know if you ever saw the video for that song from Drake. It goes, just hold on, we're going home.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
they're like rescuing the girl.
Mhm.
You see, like they have a bunch of guns and they're going after them like with their niggas and shit. But
Yeah.
like, it's not on some like, hey, I'm the toughest guy in the block.
Right.
shit.
Exactly.
I honestly like I think that's whack, because I come from a place where people are actually tough.
Yeah.
So and those people don't show it.
Yeah.
So like I don't think that's cool, you know.
Yeah.
So I like to make people feel good with music. Like my last song, the one I just dropped, Lipstick, you know, it's actually a true story of like one time that a girl wrote on me with lipstick and wrote on my mirror, like, and she just disappeared at night, and I was like, I have to write a song about this. And the song's called Lipstick, and something that happened a long time ago, and it's just like a, you know, rendition of a story of, you know, a passionate night, or some, you know, somebody, you know, it's story. It's just a story, you know, something to enlighten you, you know, to have fun. And same thing with Bora Bora, the last one I dropped.
I like that one.
It's about a trip to Bora Bora. You know, I just got into the studio and I was like, I want to go to Bora Bora.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, let's make a song about it. So it's all about feeling good, because I feel like that's the ones that are the most successful.
Yeah.
Like I want to be successful. That's like I don't want to just be one of those artists that say like, oh, I just make music for me, because I think that like that's wrong. That I would be something that I would be lying about. Like
Right.
I want to make music for everybody, for y'all. Make music for what you like to hear and what you like to see, and
Because essentially, that is an artist, is bringing a community together.
Exactly.
Because if you're doing it for yourself, that's not successful. Or it might be for some people, but it is.
Yeah.
But it is. I find like it's the idea of making a message resonate.
I just find it so cool how, like, for example, like, let's say you're a different person than I am, and like we have different tastes, we eat different things, we grew up in different households, but yet we can like the same movie, or we're like the same song, and like feel the same, maybe not the same emotions, but like relate to the song in different ways, but still like emotionally get attached to a song.
Right.
Even if the song's not like the super most lyrical song ever, like you're just like,
that song is just a connection.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So I like that. So I don't want to just get myself in like just such a like tight little circle and be like, hey, I'm only gonna make music for these guys, for these street guys, and like I don't want to do that. Like I want to make music for everybody, so everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things is like when you hear a song from like middle school and you're like, it just takes you back, like that's.
And I still remember him too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like crazy. It takes you.
Does that happen to you with scripts?
Yeah.
You still remember them?
Yeah, some of them, not all of them, but like
not word by word, but like
little excerpts of it. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it just takes you back. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's cool that we're also in a kind of industry that allows us to physically go back in time.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
See our growth.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like, let's say you find this mixtape. Again, let's see, I find it. I'm pretty sure you sent it, on MySpace.
I'm pretty sure I can find it.
Yeah. But, like, you find it, right? You listen to it.
Yeah.
And you knew that you were good back then, but you've learned so much.
Yeah.
You've grown so much. You've changed so much. Homie, I'm such a different person from the last year.
Yeah.
Fuck it, from like 4 months ago. You know what I mean? Like, we change, we evolve.
Facts.
And we are so fucking lucky as artists.
Yeah. And
as people that have been doing it for basically our entire lives.
Yeah. The majority
of our lives, like 95% of our
for
lives, real. That we get to see that growth. We get to really see ourselves
and learn
evolve
from it,
and learn from that. And ground ourselves and put ourselves into that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's so easy sometimes to kind of fall into that, like, yo, I'm not where I want to be. I should be this. I should be that.
And
but if
also,
you take a step back, holy shit.
Yeah, and also like when you fall into like grooves and you're doing pretty good and you just like get complacent, you know. So like you go back and you'll be like, oh shit, like 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, I sounded like this. Imagine 2 years from now.
Right.
So it does put everything into perspective. Like it's really cool. Like I do that all the time. Like not too long ago, I listened to my first ever songs, which like they're still on YouTube. Hopefully nobody finds them. But like it's like we used to be like kind of like YouTubers, like early YouTubers.
Yeah.
Like back then that didn't exist, but like. I mean,
but we're of the generation of the birth of all.
Yeah. But we didn't get to like really like.
Not the way YouTube.
Yeah, like not like this generation has used it, but we were kind of like doing that, and I listened to all the songs, the ones we recorded on the laptop mic actually, and it's crazy. Like I was looking at myself like in some videos, and I was like, damn, like who would have thought? Like who would have thought that all these years later, like. It actually sound like this.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's mind blowing.
How much we evolve,
Yeah. No, it's.
And
it's
talking
awesome.
about being complacent is also, that's so interesting. It's like I think the thing that has worked, I think for both of us has been, we've set very realistic goals for ourselves as artists, right?
Exactly.
We've set and then and we've gotten there.
And we meet them.
And then once we meet them, we don't stay there. We go. Like I was.
You set the next goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this out loud for the first time recorded. I'm moving to LA permanently.
Exactly.
You know, and that has always been in the works. That's always been a plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done so well down here in Miami. I
Yeah.
make my living being an actor, which is unheard of for people. You know, like I pay my bills being an actor. But it got to a point where I'm like, I've peaked.
Yeah.
That's it. I've met the roof. I'd rather go somewhere and be a small fish with the potential to keep growing.
Yeah, you always gotta be there.
Than
You always
like
gotta start from there.
staying in the place where a big fish in a small pond.
Hey, and that changes quick. Like from being a little fish to a big fish.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about being at the right place and the right time type stuff. And
committing and
committing
believing
and committing.
yeah.
Like I feel the same way. I feel the same way too. I feel like for example, like this year was the year that I wrote the most music, you know. I got invited to the biggest sessions. I worked with every single label this year. You know, I worked with from the three majors, you know, Universal, Warner and Sony. I worked with their artists, every single one of them. And I felt like it was a big year, but also remember, like, you know, the big producers, the big composers, they're worrying about the big fish, you know.
Right.
I've been working, you know, with big artists, but you know, not like Maluma, you know,
Right.
you know, like Andy Rivera and like Pipe and like different people from Colombia, which is great, you know. They're really famous, but they're not at that top. So I feel like this year that's coming up, that's where I want to take that next plunge.
Yeah.
Take some trips, go out to Puerto Rico, go out to Dominican Republic, go out to Colombia, you know, take some trips and actually go work and collab with some other people.
Yeah.
And take it to the next level, which is kind of like what you're doing, you know. And it's all about that, setting yourself with realistic goals, meeting the short-term realistic goal, and moving up to the next level.
Yeah, it's a ladder.
And it's a ladder. No, you know, I went to a meeting in Interscope. Interscope actually branched out into the Latin community, and it's just like they're very new. They don't have any artists right now. And I went to a meeting with them and Tazo and Jay, and we showed a lot of our music. And this guy's genius. What's his name? Nir Serusi. I hope I didn't chop that up, but he was the president of Sony, and now he's the VP of Interscope Latin or whatever. And he's the one that developed Maluma. He founded him, and like he developed them and everything, and like a bunch of different artists. And like he just explaining how it is, like he spent it in fish tanks. Like I thought it was a pretty cool explanation. Like, you know, there's a fish tank with like small fish, you know, like goldfish, and then like, you know, that fish grew and like outgrew that actual, you know,
Tank.
the actual tank. So you move on to the next one, and there's like three in music, like three main tanks of music, you know. Like first you're like unknown, and then like you get known by like the producers, the industry, the labels, and then you get put on, you know. So it's a step. You can't skip steps. Some people, you know, find themselves with luck, but I'd rather not skip steps because, you know,
and not burn out.
Yeah, and keep learning, you know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm really good right now, and I feel like, you know, with the right people behind me, my song can be, you know, on the charts. But like I just don't feel like this is my full potential.
Right.
Like I don't feel like I'm at my
best.
best.
Do you think you'll ever feel that? Because I feel for me that
it's hard.
I'm always gonna want more, and not in a selfish way, but I want to keep growing.
You want to be better. Every time.
Like I want to be I want to be the best version of myself.
I would like to say yes, but it would probably be no, because.
But I think that's what keeps you grounded and keeps you humble and keeps you going.
Yeah.
Keeps you with that motivation.
Because think about it, a lot of the guys that like reach the top and just kind of like, you know, reach it, plateau and fall, like, are guys that get there and they're like, all right, I'm the shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already the best. You know, guys like LeBron James, you know, go in there day and night. He knows what he's done, and he knows, like, this guy's been in the league for 17 years, you know. But now he still sees he has to grow and get better and evolve and win another championship, and that's what it is, you know. People that are truly legends and successful and like stuff like that, they never get complacent.
Yeah.
And they're always like seeing what they can do next. But I think it also transitions.
Right.
Like it transitions into something else. Like so I feel like maybe like for me it might transition into you know, signing artists,
Right.
developing artists, you
Right.
know, creating my own label,
Yeah.
you know, being a Jay-Z or being a, you know, somebody, and you know, that invests in businesses and products and stuff like that. But it's always like you're always trying to evolve and get better and be
Right.
a better person.
So I know we talked a lot about being able to like think back on like how much we've grown, but like if you could tell ninth grade Fray something, you know what I mean, in Miss Gonzalez's class. Okay, now I finally clicked and I remember who that was.
Yeah.
I never had her, but I know who you're talking about. In Miss Gonzalez's class, what would you tell Fray? Like if you could walk in and be like in a career day and see yourself and be like, yo, Fray.
Well, I mean, first of all, I tell him to take good care of himself. You know, it all starts with like taking care of your body, caring about yourself. You know, because when in these type of like industries where you gotta perform physically, like you said, sometimes you don't sleep and you're up the next. You know, you gotta. I'm on like 3 hours of sleep right now.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I work out and like, you know, I do different things to try to take care of myself, but it's kind of like past that. So first of all, that's the first advice I'll be like, take care of yourself, work out, eat right, get off the junk food, get off McDonald's, get off that stuff, you know, eat healthy. You know, not necessarily be vegan or nothing, but like, you know, just eat good.
Yeah. Take care
you know,
of yourself.
take care of yourself. And then next would be work really, really, really hard. Because honestly, like I always made music, but I've never worked as hard as I worked in the last 3 years. And every year I feel like I work harder. And every year I feel like I take on a responsibility. I used to own this studio with some other partners, and now like I took on the responsibility financially all by myself.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
And yeah, and it's crazy. It's nerve-wracking, but you know, I was like, I have to do it, you know? So it's always about working harder because I never really worked that hard and I wanted the results. I wanted to be with Po Boy, but I wasn't making enough music to be with Po Boy. I wasn't making it in the right quality. Get in a good studio, you know, get in a good studio.
Yeah.
Invest some money in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't go to a vocal training class, or if you don't, you don't take an acting class. You don't, you could be right now and get nominated for an Emmy, but you don't know what that acting coach could teach you or something that could put you on the next level.
Exactly. I love that you said that.
So,
I love that you said that. Yeah.
So that's where I'm
Knowing
in.
that you can never stop learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can never stop getting better. You
Yeah.
could always get better. So I fell into that in that time. I was just like, I deserve it. And no, you don't deserve it. Like you earn it. That's what it is. You earn it. You get it. You go get it. But if you sit there and expect people to like give it to you, it's never gonna happen.
Right.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
For sure. All right, Fray, we are approaching the end of the podcast.
All right,
What
all
is
right.
something new you've done recently? We've talked about a lot of new things, but what's something you haven't said that you've done recently?
Something I've done new. Well, I've been taking vocal training classes.
Cool.
I've been getting more into respiration and like really working out, because it's a muscle, and you gotta really know how to use it and use your air. I always been a rapper, so I never got to do that. So I'm working on that, working a lot on my image. Today I'm on a chill vibe, nacional vibe, but working a lot on my clothing, my appearance, always having my braids done, always
It's
having
a brand. I've said that before.
Yeah.
You're your own brand.
Yeah. So
how do you market yourself, kind of thing?
So I've been really focused on that,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, I feel like the music and the potential is there. I just feel like, that it also goes back to that ninth grade thing, You gotta worry about your image and how you look and how you present yourself every
Yeah.
day,
It's true.
We gotta sell ourselves that way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
What's something new you want to try?
Well, there's something that I've been wanting to try really badly, and it's been really nerve-wracking for me, and like I just feel like there's something there for me, which is crazy. It kind of ties into what we've been talking about this whole thing. Acting. I always wanted to get into it. Like my brother just recently got into it, and like I've always been in sales. That's what I've always done my whole life. You know, now I'm selling records, which is different, but like it ties into the same thing. You know, it's the same thing. But we sold myself, and I've been so many different personalities. Like, you know, in all these companies, I've been different people. I've been the quirky white guy with a different last name and stuff like that, or like just different stuff. And I just feel like I can definitely maybe one day branch into that.
Yeah, man. Well,
Definitely.
now you said it out loud. That's part of the reason why I make people say
Yeah.
it, is that now when you say it out loud, you're putting it out into the universe.
of
like,
course.
why not? You know, why not branch out?
Yeah, I really feel like there's something I could do.
Yeah.
Especially in this.
Especially with, you know, like you said it, music videos. You have to
Yeah.
do that. You have to act. You
Yeah.
have to act in music videos, and that's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Even
between,
if
like,
it's
the next
just to
thing.
become the best actor in these music videos, like I don't know, I've always liked it, and I've
Yeah.
always felt like, you know, they've both been kind of tied in together,
They're hand in hand.
and I feel like I definitely need to take the plunge to start working on that.
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
That makes me so excited.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got
That's
to,
awesome.
got to, and I got
Yeah,
the best
bro.
of the best right next to me.
Oh man, stop it.
So I no, and I got a lot of friends that
Yeah,
like
man.
Steven, you know, that's in it, and like I feel so proud of you guys. Like it's
Thank you.
crazy. Like you
I'm
guys have been
definitely
able
really
to
proud
do
of
like
you.
movies and like shows and so much shit. Like it's crazy. Like honestly, I'm always watching you guys on IG and looking up on the internet.
Well, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
So, where can the listeners listen, follow, subscribe, buy, download? Tell me all of
Yeah,
it,
I'm
and
on
all this information will also be available on the We're So Young podcast Meet Our Guest page. So we'll link up all the links that you wanna
dope,
put together. But you know, if people right now are like, let me listen right now.
Well, I'm on every single streaming platform that there is. So Deezer, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, whatever is your streaming platform of choice, I'm on every single one of them.
So anywhere you're listening,
Even iHeartRadio,
yeah.
absolutely
Cool.
everything. I'm
Anywhere
on everything.
you're listening to
Yeah.
the We're So Young podcast, go ahead and go look for
Exactly.
FrayFBE.
FrayFBE. I got a couple videos out on YouTube right now. We just dropped one with Grammy-nominated producer Tezo.
It's really good too.
And,
That
yeah.
the
My first song
cinematography is
singing.
really
Yeah,
good.
appreciate it.
It's just the video in itself. I was like, that's
Yeah.
some good videography.
So yeah, I mean, you guys check it out. Go on Instagram, FrayFBE. You know, I drop a lot of freestyles from time to time, and you know, gonna be bringing a lot of music. Another one coming in January, with Tezo. So
Nice.
pretty excited about that.
Oh, I'm so proud
And
of
I
you.
really appreciate you having me here.
Of
For real.
course,
Like I
of
really support
course.
this podcast, and you know the ideology around it. You know,
Thanks,
to
man.
remind ourselves that we're young, we got it, we're getting it. Like we're close. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
we're close. We just
Thank
gotta
you
keep
so
going.
much. I'm so proud of you, man.
I appreciate it. I'm proud of you too, for real. Heavy.
Thanks again for listening to the We're So Young podcast. Like what you've been hearing? Help spread the word. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate, review, and tell your friends about We're So Young. And don't forget to follow us on our socials, at We're So Young Podcast on Instagram, at We're So Young Pod on Twitter, and We're So Young Podcast on Facebook. Let's all get inspired to try new things together. That's it for now. Tune in on the 1st and the 15th of each month for new episodes. Until then, step out of your comfort zones and try new things, because we're so young.